What's up, folks? So, dear Residency Re-Applicant, this is tip number 2. Save your vacations. All right, your vacations are for you. So let me tell you what the message here. You know, you're in a ACGME program and you're allowed 15 days of vacation per year. But you're a re-applicant. You have a unique need to interview. So if you have an interview, let's say like me, I was in residency in the West Coast. So I have an interview for orthopedic surgery or for radiology in Miami or in New Jersey. And the interview starts at 8 a.m. in the morning usually, right? So I have to get there the night before. Maybe I'll be able to finish the interview by noon or 1 and fly out the same day to the West Coast, or maybe the next day. So, the terrible policy of my program, and I think most programs are, we need to take your vacation days from you. You have to use a vacation day for you to interview. Okay, so in some cases you can't get around that, and that's what you have to do. So I have to give up. I had 2 orthopedic surgery residency interviews on the East Coast that I had to fly to. I had to give up 3 vacation days for each one of them. So that's 6 vacation days gone just for 2 interviews. Okay. Now, I've heard of other people in my program. I wasn't smart about this. That's why I'm telling you this. I've heard of other people in my program. They hid their progress. They didn't tell their coordinators, oh, we have an interview. They didn't report it. They didn't mention it, and they just worked with their chief. Can you give me a day off here, a day off there? I'll do this extra, I'll do that extra, or something like that. So if you can do that, then, it's super, it's going to save you a lot of bitterness. If you can work with your chiefs and your team to get a day off or 2 days off so you can go to an interview. The problem is, though, you're a prelim and you're reapplying, or you're a transitional year kid and you're reapplying. And what's the worst thing that could happen is you have one red mark on your record, one little foul play, you get caught doing one thing wrong even though you didn't know it, and then you're screwed, right? Because you're so dependent on this program. It's kind of unfair, of course, the power dynamic. You're so dependent on this program, right, to give you a rec letter to whatever, to get you matched again, that you're desperate. So, I ended up having to lose almost all my vacation days. I probably had, I think it was 20 vacation days, and 15 of them were for interviews. Now, here's another thing. When I interviewed radiology, these interviews were virtual, a lot of them, almost all of them. So there was sometimes where I could do 2 interviews in the same day. There was one afternoon, one morning. So then I would just take a day off, use up my vacation day, do the interviews. Of course, that's work, right? So I'm not really getting a break, but at least I had to do 6 hours of work and I had the rest of the day off. Now here's the catch. You need to know your program's policy, because my program had a policy of, let's say you had a virtual interview that only took up to 4 hours. You could do that without taking a vacation day. But if you did 3 of them, then you just lost a vacation day, okay? Because technically you were off for 12 hours, right? Over 3 weeks or whatever. But what would happen in that case, I would take the 4 hours off, do an interview, and then my team who's covering for me, right? Because they're not getting someone to cover for those 4 hours. The team's like, all right, well, we just covered for you all morning. Now it's your time, right? So I would actually do that work, take off for 4 hours, then do the 12 hours of work anyways. Okay? And then what would happen is I lose a vacation day as well. And when I realized that, I was like, no way I'm doing that anymore. That's not going to happen. I'm just going to take a whole day off. I'd rather have 3 interviews and 3 full days off, where I have a more interview in the morning, have the rest of the day off, than for me to have 3 interviews and then I just lose a vacation day. It makes no sense. So there's a lot of terrible policies that maybe they make sense if you're categorical, But for a prelim, there is no like unique policy for the prelim, for the interview process or anything like that. This is something that you have to navigate. So you have to ask about it. And then the first thing that I would do at your current program, so you can know where you can slack off, where there's leeway, where there's loopholes for time off, maybe some rotations. Like for example, at our program, breast surgery, I could tell my attending like, hey, I can't show up today, and they wouldn't miss me. It wouldn't even make a difference. Whereas maybe for trauma, they needed you, okay, and they were going to really notice your absence. So you have to find that out, and you have to work with your seniors, and especially ask the seniors. And guess what? At your program, there's a senior who didn't match the first time. It's very common, and I did reach out to those in my program who didn't match the first time, and I got their advice, and they told me, yeah, here's the leeway areas, here's the whatever areas. So you need to know that, okay, and so you need to save your vacation days for your mental health as much as you possibly can, and fly under the radar to the best of your ability. All right. So hide your progress, keep it simple. Don't brag when you get an interview.